everyone. Welcome to the Shawk23 podcast. I'm your host, Shawk23, and this is the podcast by creatives for creatives. On this podcast that I've decided to start, I will be talking to interesting people within the creative industry and the creative space in PNG and also, hopefully, around the Pacific. And it's an opportunity for us creatives to share our experience, our knowledge, and just everything in between, the highs and lows of being a creative entrepreneur in this economy and in this landscape of Papua New Guinea. And my chance to talk with other creatives and just basically geek out about what we're passionate about and why we do what we do, even though people tell us to get a real job and make real money. So that's it. So you can tell from my voice, I'm a little nervous. I'm also very excited as well. I have absolutely no idea where this podcast is going to take me, but I'm looking forward to the journey. My guest for today is none other than the incredible and the very talented and the very famous Mathias Yoba of Yabil Media. He is a digital content creator and also the producer and the host of one of the most consistent Papua New Guinean podcasts right now, the Nogat Lesmahn Podcast. Please make yourself welcome. Hi.
Yes, thank you for having me, Jan.
That was really awkward. Hi, mate.
Thank you for having me.
It's as if we've never talked
I know, right?
in person. How are you today?
I'm good. Thanks.
Thank you for jumping on board and helping me put all of this together.
No worries.
It's such a great opportunity to just partner with you on this. So for those of you who don't know, MK is basically helping me put all of this, the podcast together. And the story of how this podcast came to be is very interesting, but it's for another time. That should be an episode of its own. But it's good to have you on the show, and I know you're very busy, and I really appreciate you taking the time to be one of my early guests so early in the show. So how you been?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. Can I just say, starting this, bro, I'm so proud of you. I remember when we started the Nogat Lesmahn was and then from a jump, and we were talking about this yesterday, it just hit us how, profesh this is all, and it's
Exactly. I mean, it's always funny how, it's really funny how this thing started, and and just to have you just supporting me and with the success of your own podcast. And anyway, before we carry on, why don't you tell our audience who you are and what you do for a living?
Right. Okay. The simplified answer is I make videos, but the oversimplification is I do videos, I do specialized ads, digital marketing. Well, I'm trying to get into digital marketing with the information available. I'm just trying to teach myself how to do that. And I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, so you're all around a digital content creator.
Yes.
That create content for the internet, the interwebs, all social media platforms?
All social media platforms, websites. Basically, when you're making a video, how to distribute it and how to fully get back what you pay someone to make a video. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to get into that. So, from production to pre-production to post-production, and then the distribution side.
Wow, that's fantastic. That sounds interesting. I know that we were going to have an incredible discussion right now. But before that, I'd like to make special mention of the Shawk23 podcast is officially sponsored by Smart Hills Corporate Solutions. None of this would be possible without them. They've sponsored us all the equipment that we're using right now and given us the space as well to do so. So a big shout out to them. The Shawk23 podcast is proudly sponsored by Smart Hills Corporate Solutions. Smart Hills Corporate Solutions provide IT solutions for corporate businesses and creatives like myself. They provide a wide range of products and services and are certified resellers of software such as Microsoft Office, Adobe Creative Cloud, Wondershare, and more. To find out more, please visit their website on www.smarthills.com.pg. Now back to the show. All right, back to the show. So, MK, how on earth did you get into digital content creation?
Well, it started out as a hobby. When I first got a job, I was at Digicel, right? Mm-hmm. And I was going through training at Susan and Marfa was taking us through the 3 weeks training of the onboarding process. Digicel at the time was doing that. I don't think they're doing that anymore. But when we were there, I met a friend who's Alan Chris Cohen, his name. I can still remember his name. He kind of talked about photography, and before that, prior to that, Silva, a friend of mine in Leh, he gave me a camera, and he said, at the time, Robert Kiyosaki's book came out, the Rich Dad Poor Dad. Yep. I was reading that. I was learning about entrepreneurship, how to like make something of yourself, and I was lost. I came out of high school, didn't make it to uni, didn't know what to do. I was basically traveling a lot, and I see all of these beautiful places in like PNG when I was in Leh, but I didn't have a camera to capture it, so I had a crank-ass phone. I was taking around the Alcatel M-Pop. I was just taking pictures. Funny, I lost all that images in my computer. It's back in Leh, but.
So you brought up from Leh?
Yeah, born and raised. Yeah. So that kind of got me excited about preserving moments, taking pictures of beautiful places, and then I picked up Silva's Canon 700D, and then I played
when you start. Oh, that was in Leh.
That was in Leh. That was in Leh. And then I picked up the camera. I used it for like a month or so, and then I came to Palm for the job interview. So I got the job, and then I started working with Digicel. Fast forward, I got my first paycheck, and I was like, you know what? Let me just buy a camera. At the time, someone was selling it on Facebook. It was a Nikon D3200. So I got that Nikon. Ooh. I got Alan Chris.
With your first paycheck?
Yes, with my first paycheck.
That sounds like some good money right there.
Yes, I was at the I lived alone, right? I lived with my cousins at the time. There wasn't a lot of overheads. So, all that money mixed in, I was like,
you're basically young, wild, and free.
Yes, I was like, I'm going to be reckless on this one. Let me just spend it all on this. So, I bought that camera. Alan Christopher had it for me. He's like, oh, that's a good camera. So, I got it. And then my first gig, I remember a friend of mine, Sharon, she had graduation. She had a graduation at UPNG. And then she's like, oh, I need someone to take pictures, and you have a camera and you seem to enjoy doing this. Can you come do this for me? I'll pay you. I was like, okay, how much are you going to pay me? He's like, oh, $50. Fine, done. I'll do it.
As we all. Yes. That's basically how we all start out. Sorry, at Digicel, what was your job position?
I was doing sales.
Okay.
So I started as a SME sales executive.
Okay, so it wasn't anything to do with the creative field at all. That was still your hobby phase.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm still in my hobby phase.
Great. Continue.
So yeah, I went to the graduation. There was like all these other photographers there with fancy cameras and 7200s and all of those nice, good-looking stuff. And I'm like, oh, it must be nice there. And me with my Nikon and my kit lens, I was running around taking pictures of Sharon, but she loved it. She absolutely loved all the pictures. And some of the pictures turned out pretty well. Most of them weren't, that great because I was just starting out. But she loved it nevertheless. So, I mean, there's a saying that goes like, if the client likes it and you like it, then job done. Right? So yeah, she liked it. She posted it on my social media. I think some of it's still on my page if you go down.
Oh, nice.
And I think that was it. From there, people just reached out to me on my page and got a few one-talks here and there to do their photos here and there, and then
like family occasions or more graduations and birthdays, or
it was more graduations, more family events, just basic portraits. There was a family that the first official like family portraits that I took that I really enjoyed was Bella Mori. She reached out to me on my Instagram. I think she's Brisbane based, but she was here for like a family holiday, and then she saw that I was taking pictures and I was on Instagram and posting my pictures. So she reached out like, hey, do you take pictures? I said yes, and then we went to Nature Park. So that kind of gave me an idea on like, okay, so I can do like auto portraits, charge the families like a decent amount, like between say 150 to like 200, and then I was still working at Digicel, so that was like extra cash for like, weekends, whatever I can do, which didn't turn into whatever I can do. I just bought more gear. So
that's a good use of your money, though.
Yeah.
So you were really pretty serious about this hobby of yours.
I was.
And like so you didn't go to school for all of this. So how did you teach yourself how to use a camera, and then how to, because photography is an art and a skill in itself. So how did you learn how to do what you do now?
Well, it was all self-taught. Like I was probably one of the few people back who discovered YouTube.
Yep.
Like there was a lot of people not wanting to watch YouTube just because they, YouTube was new at the time. Let's just say.
Yeah. And also the data prices.
Yeah, the data prices, but
it was a luxury if you could watch YouTube.
Yeah,
It's a luxury now.
it is. Yeah. But yeah, back then there was a lot of free YouTube videos on how to how to take a picture. There was I discovered Peter McKinnon.
Okay.
And then Matty Hofa, and then I forgot how to pronounce his last name. It's Matty Hopta or something.
Okay.
They're all of this Canadian and Australian.
Let's not offend you. Just in case he just picks this up.
I'm sorry. But yeah, I follow all this like big creators, and then I see them like teaching people how to use cameras, and I just watch the videos and I take the lessons from those videos, and then I apply it into like, if I want to go out and take pictures, it's like, okay, this is what he said. So, get the composition right, get the lighting right, time of day to shoot, what kind of lens you should use, what are the good lens choices. And yeah, it was like basically self-taught, watch videos, apply those videos, see what works, see what doesn't work, and then kind of like grew from there. So to answer your question, it's all self-taught. Like it was something that I was interested in, and I saw that the information available was good enough as going to school for it. So I was like, you know what? Let me just see how long, see where this takes me. So I took it.
If you had the opportunity to go to school, like there was a paid scholarship, would you take it, or are you happy with the self-learning?
Self-learning is, if I had the opportunity, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, no brainer.
I feel the same way as well, because like as being someone who's self-taught as well, like you have to curate. You have to basically scour the entire internet and have to look for, especially like when you don't have money to actually pay for courses. Yeah. And with our currency as well, like even though a course is advertised as something really cheap, once you convert it to PNG Kina, mate, like that's another story up well. Yes. So if I also had the opportunity to go to school and have that dedicated, because just imagine like how much you could learn with just 6 months of dedicated study on your craft and just how good you could get. But then no regrets, because like you kind of make the most of the opportunities that you have. And that kind of teaches you how to be more resilient and be more resourceful with, I think.
True. Yeah, but self-taught has perks. One, you go at your own pace. There's some people who can't like flourish at school. And I find that personally, school was a bit difficult for me. Not because I was dyslexic or anything, but just because learning with everybody and trying to, keep up with everybody and have this all was just... It wasn't an environment that I was thriving in, But to go to film school, definitely something I still want to do down the line. And like more and more as I go, I'm thinking, like you said, focus on your craft. And the curating process gets tiring over time.
Yeah, it does.
But the more and more you do it, the more you know which way to.
Yeah, one of the annoying things is that you, in the middle of a lesson, or you're learning something, and then something like they call this shiny new thing syndrome, like another lesson or another effect or another style comes up, and then you kind of, and how they advertise it is like, you need this in your, your skill set, otherwise you won't do this. So it's kind of like the pressure of trying to learn one skill and then another comes up and you're trying to learn that skill as well. And then sometimes that kind of just demotivates you to learning altogether. It's like, you know what, I'm just going to go with the flow and then figure it out as I go.
True. But you shouldn't do that. Like you shouldn't like the shiny object effect.
Yeah.
You should focus on one thing and then get it right first. Because that's what you want to do. Like when you hone in on one skill, get good at it, and then once you're at a comfortable level, then you move to the next one and you move to the next one. Because if you try to like multitask and try to multi-learn things, you won't really get a long way. Personally, I just feel like if you focus on one thing and then get to a level where, okay, I'm good at this, now how can I increase this? Okay, I need to learn this skill because this skill is compatible with this skill. So like the combination of skills will take you, because you can get good at one thing, but if you're not good at like one particular thing, like a skill set.
Yeah, especially the foundations and the fundamentals.
Yes.
I think that some people just go for like the effects and the shiny things, what makes it look good, but then they miss out on like the basics of like simple things like composition and like color theory and how to shoot, or like camera movements, things like that. And like, you're a photographer, videographer, I do like digital compositions and artwork. Composition is a big thing in art, and there's ways to like visual storytelling and how to use shapes, shape language, things like that. And if you don't know how to master the fundamentals, then I think that the extra bits of it, like the icing, is just not gonna hit as well as you want it to hit. True. So,
because that's the whole saying that goes, anybody can take a picture. Right?
True, eh?
But
so do you take pictures or do you tell stories?
Yeah, anybody can take a picture, but you got to tell a story.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, then it's just a picture, you know.
And everybody can do that.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's why some of the greats are the way that they are.
Yeah, it just speaks to you in a different way.
Yeah.
Like if you see a picture from, say, Peter McKinnon, and then that same spot, someone else goes and takes a picture, it will be very different from what Peter McKinnon does. Because that is his idea or his composition or his lighting technique.
Yeah.
That differentiates him from the rest of the world.
And I think that's what really separates like real artists from like hobbyists and people who just do things just for the sake of it. Because I've always considered art to be an emotional experience, not just one that tickles the senses, like the visual, the music. Everything speaks and is an expression of our souls. And that's kind of why we creatives get really personal with our work. And sometimes we kind of butt heads at times with clients when they make changes we don't want to make those kind of changes to. It's like, it's our work, you know. And I don't know, it's a completely, I don't know how to describe
I understand.
it.
Like,
it's sometimes hard to separate our own emotions because it is an expression of what's within us. And for me personally, like especially dealing with clients, I have to put boundaries and put like, no, this is their work that they're paying me to do. So regardless of what I think, I have to serve their best interest and not mine. And I don't know, it's a learning curve.
It's a tough conversation to have too. Like if you're trying to talk to a client that doesn't necessarily come from an artistic point of view.
Exactly.
They have their creative briefs, they have their goals, they have their marketing targets, and they come to you to create this story and this image that represents them. But sometimes they have to understand that the way that you go about it will be a little bit different from theirs.
Yes.
But it serves a greater interest.
Yeah. And then having the communication skills to convey that without offending your client. You're trying to tell them, I know better, but in a way where you don't want them to be like, no, you're paying me, so I have to like try to, anyway.
Yeah. But can I just say, a lot of clients don't know what they want. Like they have an idea.
Yep.
But when they're trying to convey to like creative people or artists, like I've worked with clients who just send me a reference video, like a 40,000 Kina budget video. They're like, oh, we want to do this video, but we have this budget. It's like 800 Kina to do a 30,000 Kina budget. So like the differentiator is, that's the other thing that I struggle to communicate with clients is the level of production. Yeah. And but that's just from like a video aspect of things. From a graphics, it's different all the way.
Yeah, it's different as well. But those are just some of the hurdles that we as professionals have to just work through and try our very best to get through them.
Can we talk about the hobbyist separation?
Yeah, sure.
Like, I feel like a lot of people hopped. So back in like 2018, 2019, 2020, a lot of people started hopping on this trend of like.
I've noticed like people do trends. I know that there's there was a digital artist and a graphic design trend as well. And then like when the DJs came out, there was a DJ trend as well. Like
there was,
there's so many trends. I think like the comedians are having a trend as well. And like so many people, like I think that people just find what's popular and then they jump onto it. Anyway, share your thoughts.
Yeah, my thoughts on like the say photographers trend. It was back in 2018 to 2020 that everybody wanted to become a photographer, right? And they thought, like going back to my old statement, like, oh, it's just a picture. Anybody can take a picture, And missing that artistic aspect of it, that dedication and the time that it takes to actually perfect your craft and get good at it to a level where you can charge X amount of money that's ridiculous to some people. That is the missing part. But everyone thought, oh, it's easy. Everybody can do it.
Yeah.
Get on it, you know. And they don't.
I just need a Canon camera.
Yes.
I got a Canon camera, I'm done.
Canon camera, 7200, those long lenses, the wide ones.
Just set it on auto and then
Yes.
the whatever photo comes out, it'll look good, bro.
Honestly, I saw someone shooting at an event once, and they were shooting on auto. Bro, it pissed me off. Like, so.
Bro, you know. But like, I don't know. That's your journey. You're just kickstarting your journey.
That's the trend. Like, before I even started, I'm not like, this is not a stab at anyone who's starting, but if you're starting, when I started, I shot on manual, no auto, like, because I knew that was the right way to go. And because I learned, I was binge watching YouTube videos on how to shoot cameras way before I even actually got a camera. Right? So I knew the foundations and where to go and what settings.
That's interesting. Everything just started to align.
Yeah. So when I picked up a camera, like I already know where the buttons are because I already did my research beforehand. So if you're trying to start, do the research before you actually pick up a camera, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, going back to my hobbyist passion, everybody just bought a camera and then now
This is fun. Yeah.
All of a sudden they're like, oh shit, why is it that my picture is not like this guy's picture? Why is it like we have the same camera, we have the same lens, but why is it so different?
And then like you can pick up like you can just download like Lightroom and you think that will solve it, but it is different because especially like I like color and lighting are really big things for me. And as I learn more about color theory and lighting and compositions, you can just easily use light and shadow and just how things are, and just the shapes to tell a story and to invoke emotion. And that takes a lot more skill than just pointing and shooting or seeing and drawing or just putting something together. Like that's a skill and an artwork to do on its own. And I think that's what really separates the hobbyist from the artist or those who are really serious and into it long term, that it's just not for the likes. Or I think the people who are doing it long term and who have been like creatives who are still in the industry doing it, it's like they serve a much deeper purpose than getting the likes and getting the fame and you know whatever it is that comes with it. It's really, I think those are the people that have lasted longer.
It's more of like a personal thing. You have to look at it like you said, at a deeper level. Like if you're doing it just because you want to, look good on a camera, or if you want to do it for the trend, you're not going to last. Yeah. And you'll see now, most of them are selling their cameras off. Yeah. Thank you.
That's fine, That's up to you. I mean, there's nothing wrong with jumping on trends and trying new things. But, if you're in it for the long term, you have to put in a lot more investment than just in the shallow glitz and glamour. Yeah. There's a whole lot. And then there's camera maintenance and the different types of lenses. I'm not a photographer, but I've dabbled a little bit, and I'm well aware of how expensive it is to maintain it.
It is. You got to think
very,
about
very
lenses.
Expensive.
Different lenses has different purposes.
And then software is expensive as well, mate. And then our currency. I keep going back to our currency, mate. But
like Adobe is actually taking Pop Nini off the Adobe support system.
Mate, I don't know how we're going to survive on that, but anyways.
Because everybody pirates this shit, Like some of us, we pay for the software.
I won't comment on that. It is what it is.
Yeah, it's a different story altogether.
And then, like, I think I'll save this topic for another time. I just want to talk about like how you got into doing this full time. Like, take me back to like Digicel. You were a sales executive. Did you ever move to the TV and broadcast production of it?
Yes, I did. Yeah. Eventually, it led to me seeing that if I want to grow in this, I have to learn from people who are actually doing it on a daily basis. So, moving into the television side was sort of like a natural occurrence of like, I should learn from professionals. So, the way I shifted was...
Did you put in a request to?
I did.
Oh, lucky you.
The way I shifted was, a lot of people still hate me for this and back in Digicel, because they're like, oh my God, he's so privileged.
That's true. Like, that's what we have in common, because I used to work for 4 years at TV1, at Digicel TV, and I don't know if this was true, but I used to feel like people kind of envy the TV side.
You could see.
Like, there was a different... like I don't know, I felt like we were treated differently because we worked in TV, but
There's a
anyway,
different vibe
yeah.
to it. Like you walk around the cafeteria and they'll look at you like,
Oh, he
those are
works with TV.
guys. Yeah.
I mean, like I was like in the graphics team, so we kind of like low key, but like the reporters and the cameramen, like they were kind of like the superstars of TV. Like their faces were everywhere, so they kind of felt. I don't know. I won't speak on their behalf, but let's just say that it took a while for us to mingle and mix around with everybody.
It did, but me coming from the sales side, I kind of like easily fit into the group because my people skills were already like good at the level, and I talk a lot, so I talk to.
Are you like extroverted?
Yeah, I find that I'm extroverted a lot rather than introverted. Mostly because I grew up with talking a lot to a lot of people and hanging around with a lot of grown people, like people outside of my age.
Yeah.
So that kind of made me extroverted, and I like to claim that I was introverted for a little time. But
you could have been like an extroverted introvert,
There are some times where I feel like I want to be like
left alone.
I want to be alone. Like
it depends on like. Sorry, I'm just segueing. Like in terms of introversion and extroversion, it depends on your energy. Like if you get energized being around other people, then you're an extrovert. If you're energized being by yourself, then you're more introverted. But you can mix.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd say, I'm an extroverted, definitely.
Yeah.
Because
you like being around people.
Yeah, I like being around people. I enjoy being by myself as much as like probably like a Sunday, just cozying up in the house.
Yeah. I'm the exact opposite. I like being alone, but like I'm very social as well. So I have to be around people, but it drains me. Like at the end of a very social gathering or event, I'm very exhausted. I'm physically exhausted. I will go home and I'm just sleeping.
Yeah.
So when I go for a conference or like a big meeting, like that, at the end of that day, man, I just need a day to myself to recover. It's
just to recoup.
Yeah. I'm more like an extroverted introvert.
Right.
But dominantly introverted.
Okay. Yeah, it's funny how those things kind of adjust or have an impact on your creativity as well.
Yeah, it does. I don't think like people really notice it, but it does. For me personally, like it really influences how you shoot and how you mingle and what your art style or whatever your style is. I think it's really a reflection of your personality as well.
It is, because I was like, I'm not gonna lie, a few weeks ago I had like a really bad separation.
Ooh,
and not like separation as in relationship separation. Business separation, right?
The podcast was going to change into like a relationship hotline. I was like, I'm too inexperienced for this.
Don't take love advice from us. But yeah, I had it. So I was struggling like how to find, where do I go from here? Like, what's the next step? And I was just in my room the whole time, just wallowing away, right?
Yeah.
Struggling to find ideas. And then I walked out. So I had a chat with the neighbors. I just thought, I just leave my screens. Just let me. Right. So I was saying, I went for a walk. I had a chat with the neighbors, and then they kind of like gave me a new idea of like. So this guy was struggling at work, and he had he had a fight with his boss, and I was suggesting all of these ideas to help him, go about it. And then I thought, oh wait. It gave me a different idea. Like, okay, so if you're an obstacle, try to look around you for help. Try to look around the circle of friends you have, and pivot. That's the word. Yeah. Pivot from that, right? Because if you stay in that space, in that negative headspace, you're just gonna go down and down. It's gonna be a downward spiral, right? So going back to me being an extrovert, I think a lot of what I do and the ideas that I get is from like things and people around me. Right? And it's not necessarily like you're going to tell me an idea word for word, but it's just being around you.
Yeah.
Like, kind of.
That's like your fuel for your creativity, and that's what inspires you.
Yeah. And then just like that, going for walks
really helps. So back to Digicel.
Back to Digicel, yes. So I moved from sales to being a graphics. I took over where you left at. So literally where your desk was.
Oh, I miss my Mac. My Mac, man, that was a nice Mac.
Yeah, it was a good Mac. A really fast Mac at the time. Top spec.
Very nice.
We
might segue again talking about Macs. Continue.
I went and used a couple of your design templates. I was just basically doing like news alerts and live
Just
news.
the day in, day out
just
of
day in,
being
day out.
a graphic designer at TV1.
Yep. And then Trend Media would come with their requests, and we'll do like website banners and little footers and all of that stuff. Yeah, I was doing that for a while, for about 2 months, and then they needed an extra cameraman. So I was like, okay, I know how to use a camera. So they had the 5D, the 5D for the office. Yeah, I picked that up, and then I helped Freddie Mo out to do a couple of his news runs, and then I had a chat with Tuka Mo at the time, and then he's like, "Oh, you know how to do like social media and record a camera and stuff?" I was like, "Yeah, okay, then why not you just do social media instead of the graphic stuff?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm open to it." So I transferred to the social media side. So that's when I met Galava.
Yeah.
And then Galava kind of walked me through this guy's a genius. He just taught me how like content was used in that digital space. So that started my journey of like understanding how to use social media, what hashtags works, the algorithms.
Yeah. This is for Loop PNG, yes?
Yeah, Loop PNG. So we were basically managing Loop PNG at the back end. And at the time, there was a lot of changes in the news department. So we were basically the TV1 news, but in written form. So everything that goes on TV1 news was Loop PNG.
Oh, yes.
In the past, there was separation,
Yep,
right?
yep.
TV1 news and then TV1 Loop PNG.
Yes.
The merger was happening at the time. So we merged into one department, and it was pretty interesting working with Galava, just learning, picking his ideas, learning with all this incredible journalists and cameramen as well.
It's a fantastic environment. I do not regret working there. I remember when I left, I just told people I felt like I've gained 10 years worth of broadcast and production experience. Yeah. It was just that valuable.
It is, and I think the whole work environment, we say a lot of people will complain when they go there, but if you're looking from you want to learn perspective, you will learn a lot. Because I get involved in production, pre-production, post-production. I was just in everybody's face. I was asking questions.
Exactly. I was just exactly the same. Because OBs were always the fun, the outside broadcast. That's when they do recording for the SP Hunters games and any outside environment. Those are just fun environments where you can just throw yourself at anything. You can be a runner. You can just be, study, shadow the directors and learn how the producers put together shows and rundowns. It was, I can't.
Yeah, basically, that's what I learned. I know how to do the directing, how they do the switching.
And everybody was so open as well. Nobody was stingy. If you asked the question, they were more than generous to be oh no, this is how we do things, this is how you show things. They would give you hands-on experience if you just asked them to. Yeah. As long as you were not in their way when they're busy, mate.
Yes.
You're in the way. Please.
Oh man, but they're a great bunch of people, honestly, the production team. And they're very small, but they do a lot of stuff.
Exactly. I remember that when I was working there, when rugby season was on, we canceled our lives. Everybody canceled their lives. Weekends were nothing.
No.
Your weekends, your nights out, mate, that's nothing. Even if you did go for a night out, you have to come back early on the day because there's setup and there's everything. And it's just a brief window, when a Hunters game is on, if it's one game, that's good. Yeah. But if it's a triple, I know that one time we did a triple header, 2 Digicel Cup games and then a Hunters game. So we had to be there at 8. And then the cameramen have to pull the cables and all the mics and everything has to be tested. And then for when the games are on, for me, I was in the control room with the directors. Okay. We had to sit there for the next 3 hours recording the game. I used to do replay as well. So I was sitting with the
replay and graphics?
No. Graphics was outsourced, but I did replay. They needed a replay guy, and I just jumped onto that thing. I learned it, and for 4 years, I was the replay guy. I was basically NRL bunker, man. That was a fun experience, but it was exhausting because I had to be at every game, and I didn't have there was no roster. I had to be at every game, so I had to sit down and just be 100% for every game.
Bro.
But that's basically what working in TV is like. Hey, you gotta cancel your life. TV is your life.
Yeah, I remember going back home at 1, 2 in the morning and late nights. And my landlord would always ask me where do you work? I'm at a TV. But like, does that really require you to go? Yeah,
Yeah.
you see what happens on TV. The 5 minutes that you watch, that took us 8 hours to put together.
Yeah, and then there's not like the setup and then the record, then the packing up afterwards.
Ah man, that's,
Mate, it's an experience, but
I gotta say, like, people don't see the back end stuff.
yeah,
And
they should do more back behind the scenes.
yeah,
stuff.
behind the scenes stuff should really be.
Just so the audience really appreciate like the hard work that, especially the cameraman, man. Like some guys, some boys, Misa, like Olmangi, like they'll do the show and then they'll go home really late, like drop off at 12. But then a reporter needs them early the next day for like a breakfast or early morning shoot. So they have to go. They have to get that sleep and then they have to wake up, get the camera and then go. And then like if the shoot is at 6, they have to be at the office by 4 to get the battery and the cards.
Charge
Mate,
it up
like
and
Misa just saw a little cameraman, but like they're legends, mate. They're just legends.
They're pretty good, honestly, with what they do and like the work stress that they go under. Bruh, it's nothing compared to like what we do. I mean, it's a little bit
very flexible. Like what we do is very relaxing.
Yeah.
But for what they do is like they're on the clock and they have to deliver. It's very long hours, but
it is.
they get it done, mate. Shout out to all the TV1 and not
shout out,
just TV1, but like everybody in broadcast. Everybody in broadcast and in live production.
Live video
mate,
production, bro.
That's a talent of its own.
It is. If you last man and bite on that, you won't last.
Mate.
You probably leave. And then the events guys, the guys who do the events, that's something else too, bro.
It's a really big mammoth to tackle.
It is.
But they do it so well that people think it's so easy. And that's when you know, I feel like that's when you know that you're it. When you make something so difficult, so easy, people like, they underestimate you because you make it so it's like, no, mate, experience has taught me well.
Yes.
Anyway, so you did camera work?
Yes,
and
I did
social media?
Camera and social media for Loop PNG, and I took care of it until Gulliver decided to pursue, I think he went into product management.
Okay.
He transferred out of the department. So then I became I was the only guy.
The Gulliver.
The Gulliver. I was the second Gulliver. And after that, I had to stay there for like a year, 2 years. And then someone else came on board, Greg, his name. And he's there now. And then I phased out. I left at like 2020 March, which was funny because it was like my 5th year anniversary.
Ooh.
It was 3 days away from me being 5 years.
Really?
Yeah.
That was my plan as well. I wanted to do 5 years, but I just couldn't. I couldn't push myself to stay for another year. I honestly was really burnt out. That's why I had to leave. I was like, I'm too young to feel this way, and let me take a break.
I would say me exiting was I did a really bad exit strategy.
Oh, yeah?
I don't recommend anybody doing what I did.
You're just living that young, wild, reckless life.
Yeah. There's a very bad mantra that I stand by. I don't recommend it for everyone. It's if a decision comes, make it in the first 10 seconds and face the consequences. So it's a very bad thing to do. I do not recommend it to anyone.
That's bravery right there. Some of us are so calculated. We're like,
let me think about
we can
this.
overthink for hours on a single decision, but here you are.
That's the thing. I know
but it's benefited you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you feel like it.
Has, yeah. I know that. I think a lot. I'm an overthinker, right? If you allow me the opportunity to think about something, I would just think about it.
You're going to stew in it, yeah. Okay.
Yes. That's why I thought about, using that mantra to kind of fight off that overthinking side of me, right? So when I was in Digicel, right? Didn't have any ideas to leave or anything. The work balance was going well. I was doing extra cash on the weekends.
You just decided to leave.
Yeah. There was a gig that was coming up and it required me to be on site for like a month.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And the money was good. And I already had ideas to leave, like the leaving phase was already there.
I remember that, like when we met, we used to just like briefly talk about you trying to do this full time, and you were weighing the pros and cons.
I was, yes. And then it just hit me like, hey, this is your sign. Like, take it or leave it. If you don't, you'll never do. 10 years down the line, you'll still be working with Digicel, right? So I took the jump. I was like, you know what? Let me just send a resignation letter. So I sent my resignation letter. And then I didn't even get a reply. I just left the first day, half day.
Mate,
did the thing.
it was more like an FYI. Yeah, it's like FYI. I'm gone.
resigning,
Like,
yeah.
thanks for everything. You'll never see me again. And just pay me my outstanding long service.
Honestly, it was just crazy, man.
Oh,
And my boss at the time, he was on leave. So it was like,
welcome back, boss. Surprise! I'm not here anymore.
so it was like I kind of escaped, you know. It was, like I said, very bad way to leave a company. Don't do that. But he was very understanding. Once you got the email, you read it, send it to HR. So HR kind of like walked me through the exit process. I gave him like a 1 week letter or warning.
Notice. 1 week notice. Yep.
Warning. 1 week notice.
Mate.
Who might have warned you? He said, God, this.
It was like, oh no, we already have your replacement.
Yeah, but I was glad that there was someone to take care of it because I'm pretty sure if there was no one there, I would never have left because I didn't want to let the team down.
Exactly. Like I also had that what's that word? That conflict, the inner conflict. It's like my team needs me, and like I'm a very valuable team member, and if I go, like this is gonna happen. So I had to make sure that everything was covered before I left. Like I didn't want to burn any bridges.
Yeah, I didn't want to because I know how hard they work and how little they have to work with. So me before leaving, I had to make sure, okay, Gregory's there and he can take care of everything. So I just told him and I was like, yo, bro, I got to do this thing, cover for me for the next 2 days. But FYI, I've submitted my resignation. And he's like, okay. And he's a very chill guy.
Yeah.
Like I like this dude. It's like, all right, do whatever you feel
Again,
like.
it feels like everything was just aligning for you to leave.
Yeah. So once I left, that was it. I spent a month on the gig, and then after that, I kind of like went on and tried to do just my own thing, I guess.
Yep. Did you register as a business or were you just operating? You did. You did the whole registration.
I registered the business like a year before then.
Oh, okay. Before you quit, so you're already operating as a business under a business name.
Under a business name and everything, but I didn't register. Like, I'm gonna say this openly. I didn't register I didn't go about setting up the company properly before I left.
Okay.
Which I'm doing now, which is a very terrible thing to do.
Okay.
So if you wanna start a business, do it properly, and by properly I mean business. Business accounts, tax, all of that, employee guidelines, whatever, vision, mission statement. Think about all of those things. Websites, you got a proper setup,
I feel like you're not alone in that. I think everybody just has the business idea. So let's just get the registration part of it. And then like we encounter problems somewhere down the line, but I'm like, it's okay. It's the first move, the first step that you gotta just jump over that hurdle. Everything should be smooth and sailing. So you left and now you're operating as what year was this?
2020, March 2020. So it's been
in the middle of COVID. Interesting.
In the middle of COVID.
What an interesting time to start a business.
Bro, everybody said no, and I was like, yes.
Bro, just make the decision and then suffer the consequences later.
Oh man,
I like that.
It was a terrible time to leave a job, to be honest. Because everybody was job hunting at the time.
And then, like, you're a photographer, so you have to be outside, and then there's all these restrictions.
Oh man, it was what kind of crazy person would leave a job in the middle of COVID? Me.
And start your own business in a very interesting economic time as well.
But at the time, I think at the end of 2020, everybody was phasing out of the COVID phase, and there's more and more events, so that kind of kept me busy.
Yeah, and we're very stone-headed people as well. I think the first lockdown, where everybody stayed in, and then people were done with that. And I remember the second, third, all the other lockdowns, people were like, no thanks. I got to put food on the table, mate. And we were just like, immune system will, mate.
I kind of enjoy the working from home thing for a little bit.
Yeah.
It was very new, but then it got to one point because I was extroverted, so. Right.
No, I feel you, because when I left Digicel as well, I had so much free time. I was so confused. What to do? It was so weird. I slept in for a whole week. I wouldn't need to wake up early, and I was lost. I kind of, for a moment, it was fun, but it was mate, what do I do with my life now? But it was good. That's where I got into my art, and then, here I am now. So That's fun. So you should be like, what, 3 years as a business owner
3
now?
years as a business owner.
What's that journey been like?
Rough.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, rough. There's a lot of things that they don't tell you. That like it's all glamorized, but the facts are that you're gonna have sleepless nights. You're gonna wake up. You're gonna worry about making rent. You're gonna think about, how do I meet my quota for the next month?
Yeah.
How do I represent myself as a brand? Do I have a website? Do I got a
Website.
I got business cards? I had to go to networking events. You gotta meet people. Have a lot of great people in the circuit, and I'm honestly blessed to have met a lot of great people. You and the boys in the gym, and they kind of like helped me get to meet a lot of other great people as well, and they've helped me kind of build my network.
Yeah.
So I'm at that stage now. Okay, I've built my network. How do I build on that and like expand?
Yeah. Okay. So you're trying to scale up your business?
Yeah.
So are you like a solopreneur? I don't know how to say that word.
Solopreneur.
Solopreneur.
Yeah.
So you're doing everything by yourself, like the creative work, and then there's the admin work as well that you're doing alone. How do you manage that?
Bro, it's tough. Like I said, it's
like,
it's,
what's your bookkeeping? What's your bookkeeping habit like, mate?
man. I can tell you this: I have all the receipts in one place. That's it.
Bro. I just heard Vanessa say that, and it's like, yeah, I'm winning. And then my other friends like, as long as you have an actual spreadsheet and you're keeping track of your expenses.
You have to.
Yeah. And then separate like your personal and your business, have 2 cards. And it's like, oh, okay, good tip, mate. Like
Vanessa's really good at
like, I mean, like when I started the business, like it's the glitz and the glam. I'm my own boss. I'm gonna do my own time. But then you have to do your own admin work. And then I honestly I had a deeper respect for like accounting departments and human resource departments and finance departments and every other department who handle your stuff while you can focus on your job. Like, mate, now you have, as a business owner, you have to do all of those things yourself. And and that's another set of skills that you have to learn. And for me personally, sometimes it's annoying because I have to learn these admin, business management skills, and it takes time away from my creativity, which is the things that I just want to do, But, we got to do what we got to do to stay afloat.
You have to. And then I think it comes back to like time management. If you're a solopreneur, especially like if you're now, there's a lot of tools that are available for you to, utilize to sort of take time away from you focusing on the creative side.
Yeah.
So there's like softwares like Xerox, Zoho Books that can help you with accounting. They simplify the process, so you can just take a picture and then it will enter it into your cash, your registration books. You can register it as an expense, as a business expense, and all of those. Like people like Vanessa, who gives great financial advice to help you like organize all of that stuff. And the time management part is really, really something you have to work on. I'm still working on it.
I think it's also not just time management, but self-management. I remember that I had this realization that I don't have a manager to manage me.
True.
Like when you're on a job, your boss is going to be like, why are you, like if you have, like now, for me, like now I'm really trying to work on my discipline because like I can get like the sniffles. I'll sneeze and I'll be like, I'm down. I'm going to rest all today because I have the flu. You know how that be someday. And then I remember like if I was working, my boss would be like, I'm sorry, what? You're just sneezing, get your butt into work, get it. And then I had to realize, I have to like separate my persona and I have to be my own boss and I have to be hard on myself. And putting myself in that situation, like if I was a job, like would I just take the whole day off just because like my back was like aching or like I'm just hungry and I just don't feel like working? Like that's just not on. So time management and self-management is kind of like the big thing as well.
That is so true because Mondays I hate, bro. I don't like waking up on Mondays. The other Monday,
even though you're self-employed and you have all the time in the world.
But you got to be hard on yourself. Going back to like, a lot of people think, okay, this negative talk and all of this negative self-talk is bad for you, but it has its place. Because if you don't tell yourself to do these things, no one will. Yeah. Especially if you're a solopreneur, right? If you're running your own business, you got to be hard on yourself, like you said. But have that separation or persona that you know when to be hard on yourself and you know when to be like, okay, maybe I shouldn't be too hard on myself.
Yeah.
You know.
It's just finding that balance.
Yeah.
On the note of like mental health, I feel like that's been the foundation for the podcast, the Nogat Lesmahn Podcast. And just watching your content and your TikToks, you kind of you're very open about your mental health and I think your journey with mental health. And is that the basis of why, let's talk about like the Nogat Lesmahn Podcast. How did that start and what's it all about and how do you see it in the future going forward?
Yeah, you were there. So the basis,
Was I?
the basis of the podcast is we have these great conversations in the gym locker room and like how to combat, like we talked about the negative talks in your head and how to find a balance between work, life, and how to be a good person, a good parent, friend, employee, whatever, right? And knowing that everything boils down to how you perceive yourself mentally and how you are doing mentally, right? So the whole basis of the podcast was to help you understand yourself as a person and to help you figure out your mental state.
Yeah.
So when we started this, C was the C, Johan, shout out to C, was the first guest on the show, and he shared his experience about that he never shared with anyone before, right? Yeah. And he was going through like a tough time with his separation and his, I'm not sure if C's gonna let me talk about this publicly, but yeah, you go watch the video if you didn't. And,
he was in a very dark space in his life.
Yeah. So him talking about it now, kind of, I was like thinking about it, I was like, wow, okay, there are people who have gone through a lot worse than I have, you know, and I'm sitting here thinking, oh, my life is bad. There are people that are worse than me, and what excuse do I have to not be able to stand up and speak out about these things, you know? So I started, okay, you know what, maybe there's some more people who can learn from it. Then it evolved from there to bring on other people. And then at first people thought it was like a male-dominated space.
Yeah.
So I started bringing on females, like, you know what, shout out to Vanessa, by the way, who's the first female rep. She came on, she gave a lot of great financial advice. And then there's a lot of other females that came, I think two more females that came on the show that brought to light the different aspects of, you know, the walks of life. So it's basically like, I want to bring on people from different walks of life. They'll share their journey, their experiences, and we can learn from it. And like I said, I was self-taught, right?
Yep.
I learned everything on YouTube videos. So if I can make YouTube videos for people to learn from other people who've already done what they've done and are already on their path to success, whatever it may be, then I'm happy to do that and give it for free, right?
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like stumbled upon my purpose, like Tony Robbins had said.
Yep.
If you have purpose and progress, then you're good, right? So I find that every time I do the podcast, I feel like it gives me a purpose. Fulfillment, yeah. So I go, okay, this is nice. And it's not just like for me, myself, that I'm learning from other people, but I was reading the comments. I mean, there are a lot of shitty comments. But
I was just about to ask, like, how have the response been?
There are a lot of shitty comments. Just like PNG, you know, you expect the worst. But there are a few good ones, and the good ones usually they just message me. They message the page directly and be like, "Hey, thank you for talking about this," you know, and then they support us through like sharing and commenting and all of that stuff, which is great, and which is why I do it. You know, like if I can reach out to one person in a video, then I'm happy. You know. If I can make one person's life better, if this video serves that one person, I'm good.
That sounds amazing, and congratulations on just the consistency. I think just the other day we were setting up and we were just talking about the different podcasts that have come and gone. There's not a lot of consistent ones. I'm hoping this one's going to be consistent. Like it's up to me to get it done. But like you've done it for like what? Are you going into your second year now?
Yeah, this is my second year.
Second year, and what do you hope for in the future for this podcast?
I want to get it to a point where when people think about mental health advocacy, they think about the show. So, and if they want to go like to a platform to learn from other people, like success stories, they think about the show. So it's not like I'm not gonna say Joe Rogan type, but
it's inspired by that.
It's
I think
inspired by
I think
Joe
when
Rogan,
people think about the Nogat Lesmahn Podcast, they immediately go to Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
They were like, he's kind of like the Joe Rogan to PNG.
Yeah.
So
it's like it's more like flowing type of thing, you know. So I don't want people to feel intimidated. So when you're stepping into the room, I don't want the way I talk to the guest. I don't treat them as their titles. Let's just say, like I could be talking to a business owner who has multiple businesses, right? But I talk to them as a person.
Okay.
So I take away their ego and the power and the positions and all of that, and I talk to them as a person because only doing that will you find that people are more comfortable with you.
Yep.
Because you're on that same level, you know. Unless if you treat them like you respect them and you have that breaks in your questions and all of that.
The whole you be fanboying. Yeah.
I try not to do that. There are times where I did that, but then I remind myself like, hey, no.
No, I'm a professional. I'm zen.
Game face.
But it's opened a lot of doors for you because you've interviewed people like Michelle Haufa, and then Charles Abel. Like these are really big name people. And then just recently, Tapioca Delights, yes? Yeah. And then like Darcy, Cabbage Gang. And it's incredible that you've managed to get just something that started in the gym, a locker room, and with just a couple of guys that you just know. And now it's growing and it's gaining a life and momentum of its own. And you mentioned that there are like a lot of negative responses, but is it like, how do you deal with all the negative criticism that come your way?
So
and like, if I may, does it really matter?
Yeah, negatives they have their place, right? I know that the negative comments they're coming from a place that they're not informed as much, or they don't understand what we're talking about. A lot of the negative ones are mostly on the shorts that we post on social media. The shorts are designed in a way to drive traffic back to the main website. So you'll see in the captions, I always watch the full video on YouTube. But people don't read captions apparently.
Yeah, apparently they don't.
So now I'm trying to put it on the video itself so people would see, okay, this is part of a full video.
Especially like we're now in scroll culture. People don't stop to read. So captions are kind of phasing out.
Yeah, captions are phasing out, I've noticed. I actually did a test where I put a video with a caption and I put a video without a caption, and they both kind of did similarly the same in terms of like reach. I didn't even use hashtags or anything like that. So I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Like you don't have to depend on captioning or writing long captions, especially on TikTok, which is crazy. Like, I think TikTok goes off the time. Sorry, I'm like,
no, that's fine.
TikTok goes off like time of day now, where if you post a video, what TikTok does, it takes it and it shows it to a group of people, and how they react to it determines how the rest of the world reacts to it. 1 minute? Shit, okay.
No, we're good.
Let's reset from there.
You were talking about TikTok and the
TikTok,
reach and everything.
It shows your video to like a group of people, and how they react to it depends on how viral your video goes. And there are like conspiracy theories about people, TikTok having employees who, control.
That sounds like a whole new episode right there.
Yeah, I watched a lot of this because I'm trying to understand how the algorithm works and all that.
But then like you have a good foundation being taught at Digicel of like social media management as well. So it's way in your wheelhouse. And we're coming in what was I trying to say? We're running out of time. And as we wind down, what's next? What can we hope to expect from you in the coming years?
A lot of content. Like I attended a seminar where Alex Mosey pretty much broke down how he achieved 1 million followers in like a space of a year.
Ooh.
So taking from that, I kind of understood how he went about doing his strategy. And basically he gave if you don't go watch the video, it's a long one. Basically volume. So 10x input, 10x output.
Okay.
So if you do a lot of posting like on everywhere, if you make a lot of noise, basically you hit virality a lot. The chances of you going viral is a lot. So viral posts, one or two things will happen. If you go viral, you either get a lot of followers, you get a lot of clients, or you just hit a viral video and then you don't have a pathway set for people for you to capitalize on that. So what I've realized is I've had a lot of videos go like semi-viral, like 100, 200,000 views or whatever on Facebook. But there was no call to action. There was no pathway.
Yeah.
Okay, this video, I like this video. How can I watch more? Where do I go to watch more? Because it was just shorts, right?
The whole funneling system.
Yes. So there was no funnel because like we started this as like a hobby, you know, like a passion project. We were like, let's see what happens.
Yep.
But now
when things are happening now.
Things are happening. So I'm trying to understand how to funnel it all and then monetize that.
Yeah.
So that's why I've been doing courses on like inbound marketing and trying to understand how to utilize social media as a platform to lead to a website, to create like newsletters or stuff like that.
Just, I know what you're talking about. We can't unpack it in this episode, but it's a massive monster. But it's good that so you're just basically focusing on growing your presence and your positioning in on the social media platforms and see what that returns for you.
Yeah, that's basically my focus. So expect a lot of videos. Like I'm just every week probably.
We're just gonna see MK everywhere, everywhere.
I get tired. I told myself like you get tired of seeing yourself.
True, but it's fun. It's fun as long as you're fun. I mean, you're having fun and you're enjoying it. Do you have any last words and last advice you'd like to give to our audience or anybody who's aspiring to come and join us in the creative space?
If you're a creative or like if you're trying to start, I would say do your research first. Whatever field you're gonna go into, the amount of information available now is limitless compared to back when we started. AI are tools for you to utilize. Don't be afraid of AI.
Yeah.
And if you have a job and this is your side hustle, build the foundations properly before you go full time, because you're just going to suffer if you go full time. And the whole freelance and being a creative is
and
not
save up money. Like just save up money if you're trying to turn your side hustle into your main business. Save money because there's going to be seasons where that income's not going to come in.
Continue. That's a very good one. Save have at least 6 months brackets, bro. If you don't have,
I didn't do that, but anyway,
if you don't have 6 months backed up, you're going to suffer a lot. Like me and Chan over there.
We're still here, so we're still kind of surviving, thriving. We're there.
But yeah, have a backup plan in place. Have your backup plan. Have a backup plan, and if you're starting, build it properly. Start a social media pages. Just get good at putting out content of your own, because content is where people reach you, especially if you're in the creative space. You can go word of mouth, but have a established fan base of yourself, because you really want to have a good PR. Good PR comes in handy in every situation. And it's not glamorous. Don't think it's gonna be easy. It's not like the reels you see. There's someone staying up till 3:00 editing that, and they have to shoot the next day. So they're charging batteries and all of that stuff. So expect to hate yourself a lot.
Behind those beautiful reels and picture is a very exhausted creative.
Someone was just sitting there thinking like, what am I doing?
Well, Mathias, thank you so much for being aboard this podcast. Thank you for coming and sharing your knowledge and your experience. And I really enjoyed our conversation. And I hope that everybody out there will enjoy it as well. And if you've listened this far, thank you for staying and listening and watching us.
You're a legend, honestly.
And yes, thank you so much. I also like to say thank you to our official sponsors of the Shawk23 podcast, Smart Hills Corporate Solutions Limited. Thank you so much. You can check them out on their website at www.smarthills.com.pg. And I also want to say a big special thank you to my crew today, Jerry from Aesthetics PNG. Thank you for volunteering your time to help shoot. And yes, a big one to MK, who's going to help me put everything together. And I think that's basically it. I want to say thank you for your time. Thank you for paying attention to me. I am Shawk23. To all my fellow creatives, dream big, embrace your weird. And we'll see you next time. Haparua.